Sword World has been a fixture of Japanese tabletop gaming since its initial release in 1989. Despite its long and storied history, this game is largely unknown to people in the West. This is a story about how Sword World RPG came to be and evolved into what it is today. It is also a story of the record of Lodoss War and how it is intertwined with Sword World. The history of both games happened almost simultaneously, since both were being created by Group SNE in parallel. Our story begins with one Yasuda Hitoshi. After experiencing wizardry and Ultima on the Apple II computer, Hitoshi became enamored with the concept of role-playing games. He got more and more involved in computer RPGs and began translating game books and fantasy titles. He translated Traveler into Japanese, among other titles. His work led him to be contracted by Kadokawa Shoten to translate Dragonlance, as well as becoming involved in the game magazine Warlock. While he was working on all of this, he was also collaborating with his university friends who were also interested in TTRPGs. They played Traveler, D&D, and AD&D in 1986 and became fascinated with the concept of creating a story together. They had a dictionary with them while playing games, as they knew little English. A Japanese manual was included in the red box of D&D, but they often had to check the original text because the translation was often incorrect. Needless to say, the state of TTRPGs in Japan was sorely lacking at the time, so in October 1987, Yasuda Hitoshi founded Group SNE with other creators to produce translations, novels, and games. As the company grew, Yasuda prioritized the creators by distributing royalties to them. He mainly wanted to provide a platform for writers to showcase their abilities. The company had both young and experienced members. While some grew slowly, others produced hit works at a young age. One of Group SNE's first releases was a translation of Tunnel and Trolls TTRPG by Miyuki Kayamatsu, which sold surprisingly well and showed that there was a demand for TTRPGs in Japan. In early 1988, the first of Fujimi Shobo's Dragon magazine was released. This magazine was aimed at a young audience, so naturally, Fujimi Shobo was looking for something that would appeal to their readers. They would reach out to Group SNE looking for an original RPG for their new magazine. This game would later become Sword World RPG. Initially, the development of Sword World was slow due to the success of the record of Lodoss War, another property of Group SNE that was gaining popularity at the time. Sword World RPG was created by Miyuki Kayamatsu, who believed that the game should be available in bookstores and use ordinary dice. He hoped to create something that even children could play. Sword World RPG was first introduced in the November issue of Dragon magazine in the form of a replay. This replay was called Thieves' Rhapsody and became a huge success. It managed to establish the style of early-day RPG replays. Thieves' Rhapsody was intended as a single one-shot game but soon grew into a series. In the late 1980s, RPG replays were rarities, and until Thieves' Rhapsody appeared, the only well-known RPG replay was the strongly popular series serialized in a magazine, Record of Lodoss War. On April 1, 1989, Sword World RPG was released. One of the unique features of Sword World RPG was its paperback bunko format, which set it apart from the usually full-color RPG books of the time. This format made the game more accessible to Japanese readers, as well as making it easier for them to carry around and play anywhere. This contributed significantly to the game's popularity, as it allowed players to immerse themselves in the game world, even when they were on the go. The success of Sword World RPG exceeded expectations every year. Its popularity was likely due to the fact that it was created by a group of talented writers and game designers who placed a high priority on the creator's vision rather than building a corporate structure. This allowed for the creation of a game that was truly unique and tailored to the player's needs and desires. At the same time, the author of Sword World for Celia World, Ryu Mizuno, was also working on another property set in the same world but on a different island. The Record of Lodoss War project was conceived in 1986 when Rui Mizuno learned that Tsuguhiko Kadokawa, the managing director of Kadokawa Shoten at the time, had become interested in promoting TTRPGs in Japan. The editorial department of Comptic magazine then approached Yasuda Hitoshi and Ryu Mizuno to put a replay into several editions. Kadokawa requested that this replay be played in basic D&D since only D&D, and not advanced D&D, was available in Japanese. However, most of the main members of Group SNE only played AD&D. Mizuno was the only one among them who could game master D&D Basic. Thus, he started a campaign set on Lodoss Island, a setting of his own creation. At the time, many TTRPGs did not have an official setting attached, so he had no choice but to play with an original setting. He first thought of Lodoss when he was in high school. At the time, he had no specific goal in mind. It was what he would now call kitchen fantasy. Record of Lodoss War became hugely successful. As a result, readers were asking for more novels and replays to be published. Group SNE decided to publish this replay in a bunko format. However, there was a problem when they tried to contact TSR, who owned the rights to D&D at the time. They were put on hold and faced difficult legal proceedings. In short, TSR was not being very cooperative with Group SNE. To get around this, they had to create an original system adapted from the PC game Record of Lodoss War, The Grey Witch. This TTRPG was later released in 1989 as Record of Lodoss War Companion, designed by Hiroshi Yamamoto. It was followed by 2 other rulebook supplements and expert books. Record of Lodoss War and Sword World both became hugely popular, with multiple novels, TTRPG books, and anime series. Eventually, these 2 franchises were intertwined by the same world, Fercelia. Although they had different paths, they were ultimately combined into one shared world that storytellers could use to publish novels, scenarios, and more. In the next video, we will explore the history of Sword World RPG from the release of the first rulebook until the last supplements released in 2006. For a list of sources, see the video's description.